At this point, I will reintroduce Marcelo Munoz, the Alabama State Coordinator for the Campaign for Liberty, who will present the next question. Marcelo.
Article 13, Section 248 of Alabama's Constitution gives banks authority to issue bills to circulate as money. Section 249 says, all bills or notes issued as money shall be at all times be redeemable in gold and silver, and no law shall be passed sanctioning directly or indirectly the suspension by any bank or banking company of specie payment. North Dakota has managed to avoid the credit freeze through the simple expedient of creating its own credit, and it leads the nation in establishing state economic sovereignty. In the last 10 years, they turned back $1/3 billion just to the general fund of North Dakota, and they use that to offset taxes or to aid funding of the public sector. This with a population of 600,000 people. North Dakota has no funding issues and is dealing with the largest surplus they've ever had. Would you support a state-owned bank in Alabama to provide sound money, safeguard people's savings from inflation, open up the credit market to local businesses in order to create jobs, and to lessen everybody's tax burden? Why or why not? And if not, what alternative do you propose?
Thank you very much.
Don't blame me. Blame me.
Do I have any suggestions out there in the audience? You know, I believe that we have to obey our Constitution as a state and as a federal government. We have to obey both. We believe in federalism. That means that the state has their rights. That means that we have given the federal government certain rights. The Federal Reserve, if you are speaking a lot about the Federal Reserve at the present time, this is an unelected body that totally controls the money flow in this country. And sometimes we like what they do, sometimes we don't like what they do. Now, I have heard about, it was North Dakota or South Dakota. I have heard about what they are doing. And I believe that we as states should do everything that we possibly can do to take care of ourselves within the states. That's why I'm very strong for taking care of ourselves as far as health care is concerned, and I hope someone asks some questions about that. That I think that we as states should do that. If it's we as states taking care of our monetary policy as best as possible within the framework of our Constitution of the United States, then I believe that we should do that. Anything that the state can do to improve the citizens of within its borders, that's what we need to do. This country was made up of states. The states form the federal government, not the other way around. I strongly believe in the 10th Amendment, and I strongly believe that we should do everything that we can within our borders as a state. So I would be for that. If that is something that we can work in our state, I would be willing to look at that.
I would just like to note on that a year ago, when this financial crisis started, I had advised Governor Riley to pull together a group of experts, financial experts, banking experts, insurance experts, to basically put all the best brain power in Alabama apply to what was happening with the economy. We could see the trajectory of revenues declining. We knew what was happening with liquidity drying up for our small businesses, and the effect that the collapse in the housing market had. And so that would be my first suggestion, would be to pull that team of financial advisors, banking advisors, and look at all options. And I would include that option of producing our own currency, if that's what it takes. Apparently, California is already heading down that way. Since they don't have the money to pay their employees, now they're producing their own script. I don't think that would be any less valuable than what we see the Federal Reserve doing, which now that the Chinese won't buy our debt, we're basically just monetizing the debt by having the Federal Reserve buy our Treasury bills. So basically, there would at least be, I see y'all are laughing, but that's happening, and y'all know it's happening now, and that's just pure outright inflation. And when you get to that point, it's like, why not have a state of the Alabama currency? It'll have at least that much more credibility, you know?
I think I get the question, I think. I do not want, I mean, we have state chartered banks, but the state of Alabama does not need to own its own bank, period. I have absolutely no sympathy for the banking system. You've had this unsavory marriage for about 25 years between Wall Street and in Washington. The Federal Reserve is fundamentally corrupt. We've watched them take public money and bail out these banks. It should have never happened. If Andy Jackson were around today, he would roll over in his grave if he saw what's happened. The answer or the fix to this banking crisis is to let bankrupt banks go bankrupt. Let them collapse. And even though I happen to think the Alabama legislature could do a better job of managing a bank than Congress, I don't want to get in the banking business. Let's let bankers be bankers. Let them take their credit risk. If they lose money, so be it. But there's nothing, the scripture says there's nothing new under the sun. And we'll try all these silly things. What I do want to touch on for a moment, though. We left the gold standard in, I guess, 1968, 69. Anybody want to tell me? And what that did to us, we basically inflated a currency. Right now, if you valued the Dow Jones in gold dollars, it would be worth 40% less. So that's the kind of inflation. 20 years ago, it took 5 Swiss francs to get you 1 US dollar. And this is a very dangerous track that we've gone down. And it's not getting any better. And the role that governors will play in the years ahead is to begin to speak to this issue. There's nothing like the weight of authority that tells the truth. And that's the beauty in these great groups that are here. It's spreading like wildfire. And people finally are listening. And this banking issue is a big, big deal. Thank you so much.